So Katrina, thank you so much for talking. Can you introduce yourself to Collectively?
Sure. Hi, collectively. My name's Katrina Spade, and in all my spare time, I like to play soccer and badminton.
You also started something called the Urban Death Project. Can you explain what that is for people who haven't heard it?
Sure, the Urban Death Project is an organization that's creating an alternative to burial and cremation. And the alternative uses the process of composting to turn this into soil.
That goes into this idea that the funeral industry negatively impacts the environment.
I didn't know this until just a few years ago when I began to be curious what would happen to my own body when I died. But I found that in the US every year, we bury enough metal to build the Golden Gate Bridge. That's each year, and so that's in the form of like metal caskets and also the reinforcing rebar and steel that goes into the concrete grave liners.
When did you decide to actually do something about this? What sparked like the Urban Death Project?
Well, actually, I was in school for architecture. I had a couple of small children already. I went to school, to grad school a little bit later, and there's something about watching them get older that really made me realize that I was mortal. As I was realizing that the current options we have for our bodies are environmentally negative, and besides that, as I started to decide that they maybe didn't have as much meaning as we deserved, I was also thinking about, well, what would be a solution? And I got to have 2 full years to just think about it from a design perspective.
Can you sort of take me through the process of how you actually made this happen? Because you got a grant and then you're starting a Kickstarter campaign as well.
When I graduated, I started doing design build work out here in Seattle, and nights and weekends I would apply for different things, try to see if I could raise the money to work on the project further. And so I got a ton of rejections. One of the applications was to Echoing Green, which is this foundation. They took a chance on it and on me.
What happens when someone actually passes away?
So in every one of these facilities, and by the way, in my vision, there wouldn't be many in every city in the world. Each would look very different as a building because it should be for the neighborhood in which it's residing. But the same core system will be in every one of these facilities. And that's where bodies are actually decomposed naturally and turned into soil. And so that looks like a 3-story concrete core. It's about 40 feet by 30 feet at the top. And part of the experience is that the living are actually going to carry their dead up to the top of this core, using their own energy to create this new process and this new transformation. We would open up the one opening of 10 at the top of the core, and there, about 3 feet down, would be a mixture of wood chips, sawdust, something that has a good nitrogen content. And then the friends and family would lay the body into that depression onto the wood chips and cover the body up. That's all that's happening to start the natural decomposition process.
And so what has the response been? Have you experienced any sort of backlash?
I have heard mostly from the people who really want this option. So I think I'm getting a skewed view of what, I'm not taking a true measure of what people out there want. But I think for many people, the conventional burial isn't meaningful anymore, and cremation maybe never was, but it seemed like a pretty decent option, all things considered. And so what I'm trying to say is we can have many options, hopefully. I don't think the Urban Death Project should be the only one, and it shouldn't even be the last new one.
So what is the next step for you?
Well, so the next steps for the project, the thing I'm most excited about is launching a Kickstarter campaign. And you know Kickstarter, there's $10 rewards to $10,000 rewards, and it's really more about the number of people you're engaging and just getting on board. It's also about the funds, obviously, because this will allow the project to keep going.
Now, one thing we always ask is, and it's sort of a tough question, what is one thing that you feel anyone can do to make our future better now?
Ooh, that is a great question. I know the answer. Yes. The one thing that every person should do is to talk to their family about what they want to happen, not just after they've died, but what they want their death to be like.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
I'm so excited to see how it evolves, and I'm really happy that I get to write about this.